So, are we having fun yet? This is sort of my post-day one free agency legal tampering period update on what I think the Vikings need to do going into actual free agency. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So obviously now that the Stephon Diggs trade has been official, and Stephen Weatherly is officially on the Carolina Panthers, let's just say the Vikings now need to focus on getting some help for Thielen, whether BC becomes the number 2 receiver or we go out and get someone like a Robbie Anderson or a Brashad Perriman or whatever like that. Or if we pick up someone in the draft, because now that we have the Buffalo Bills first round pick, we could use that potentially between that and the 25th pick for a team who wants to trade down to potentially trade up and get a bigger fish. Now, as far as what they decide to do, well, I'll kind of wait and see what they decide to do here in free agency and how they decide to utilize their cap space. But right now, the Vikings could use a potential number 2 weapon. And, of course, be interesting to see for our defensive backs who we end up keeping, trying to sign, or who we just end up going for. Or if we just end up trying to go for someone in the draft. For that, I mean, there's a decent amount of like corners and safeties that are coming out in this draft, and obviously it's a really heavy, receiver draft. So I could honestly see the Vikings potentially trying to go for a first round receiver, even though that usually doesn't work. Yeah, for whatever reason, the Vikings can never bleep and hit on a first round receiver. Really, I think the last time we actually had that big first-round receiver who lasted for a long period of time was, oddly enough, probably Randy Moss, honestly. Because, well, Troy Williamson couldn't catch a damn cold. And Laquan Treadwell, I don't know. I just feel like Laquan Treadwell was just never the receiver that the Vikings hoped he would be. With that being said, he's not a bad receiver per se, because he definitely helped out big time for us this past year. So, with that, I could see the Vikings potentially utilizing him as the 3rd or 4th receiver, because that seems to be where Treadwell was a lot more comfortable. And, yeah. So, like I said before, it'll just be interesting to see what the Vikings do there. And also, I heard rumors that the Vikings are potentially looking at former Chiefs cornerback Kendall Fuller. So it'll be interesting to see if the Vikings strike up a deal there. Because, again, we need secondary help, and we need it badly. So, especially because we cut Rhodes. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up going. Trey Waynes is a free agent. Mac Alexander is a free agent. Jaron Kearse is a free agent. And blah, 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 blah. Yada, yada, yada. I already went through all this, and it still scares the crap out of me. So, yeah. We'll just wait and see what happens there. And, as I said, too, though, the Vikings now actually have some ammo in their arsenal for draft picks that if we really want to try to move up, let's say if there's a team that wants to move down, it'll be interesting to see how the draft goes. And also how the coronavirus thing actually ends up affecting this, because right now it sounds like they're locking the players and, staff out for 2 weeks until they know more information about this, what actually happens, because, yeah, there's a reason I didn't make a video on the coronavirus, just because, well, I don't know all the info. And I really don't like to just make videos on stuff I don't know anything about. So, but yeah, like I say, this is just kind of my Monday night ramblings before free agency officially hits. After all the big moves that have happened today with us retaining Anthony Harris, Britton Colquitt, Kirk Cousins extension, and of course CJ Ham. So, we'll see what happens, because it's only going to get crazier from here, boys. So until we meet again, this is Jacob, and have a good night.